There was a time, though, when you were sort of slapped with this label, soft. How do you reflect on that now?
He's just having fun playing basketball.
Wiggins drives and
With
finishes!
the first pick in the 2014 NBA Draft, Andrew Wiggins.
You don't get more excited than when Wiggs dunks on somebody mid-bust.
You know, you're able to set your defense as Wiggins.
How do I put this? For as long as Andrew Wiggins has been away from the Warriors, it had me thinking. His importance to the team is still something many fans aren't fully realizing, and I'm here to try and put an end to that. Even after proving all the doubters wrong and winning the NBA championship, Andrew Wiggins still isn't getting the credit he is so deserving of. But before we go any further, I want to take this conversation back to when it all started for Wiggins and Golden State. Just around 3 years ago, when a trade went down between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors, seemingly 98% of NBA fans were convinced that the Warriors just fell victim to highway robbery by trading for quote-unquote soft Andrew Wiggins.
Huge win for the Wolves, because what the Wolves wanted to do, the reason this was slowing it down, they did not want to give their 2020 first-round pick unprotected.
I mean, losing D'Angelo Russell to the Wolves had NBA fans thinking all hell broke loose for the once dynasty Warriors, and that they were officially entering rebuilding mode. Remember, this was the time when there was no Klay Thompson, Steph Curry was out with a broken hand, and Draymond was hurt off and on. In fact, this was the starting five the Warriors were trotting out on the court some nights. Guys you never even heard of, and at the time, no one even knew who Jordan Poole was. So the media was out here making us think that the Warriors really just got fleeced in this trade. But boy, were they wrong. If you scour the internet and find old takes on Andrew Wiggins, you'll find a whole lot of dudes on Twitter and Reddit that were bashing Wiggins for being a complete waste of talent in Minnesota. The situation Wiggins found himself in was the most perfect situation in the entire NBA when the Warriors picked him up just before the 2020 trade deadline. And I've got to say, though 2020 was the lowest point the Warriors hit in decades, it was a year that, shockingly, started a chain of events that would lead the Warriors back to a place where they so rightfully belong. The Wiggins move ultimately proved as the move that would end up relighting the fire under this dynasty. I think back to guys like Harrison Barnes and Andre Iguodala, and though he's way better than them all, even Kevin Durant, all were great players, don't get me wrong. KD goes without saying. But it was ultimately the offense, the system, and the pressure Steph and Klay put on defenses because of their marksmanship that really allowed the other guy on the wing to thrive. In an offense that features primarily Draymond Green running the offense and passing Steph and Klay the ball off screen for three-point shots. And in an offense where movement around the perimeter is so prevalent, it allows a guy like Harrison Barnes, Iguodala, and now Wiggins to roam around freely. And a game that doesn't put pressure on the wing player to do a bit of everything. And that's why the Warriors were a match made in heaven for the still young Andrew Wiggins. This is exactly the kind of offense and team culture that he needed to help him blossom into the player many thought he'd be from day one in the NBA.
Wiggins smile. We never saw it in Minnesota.
Remember, Andrew Wiggins was the first overall pick in the NBA draft years ago. And for a while, he wasn't exactly meeting expectations. And so, instead of being the first or second featured guy like he was in Minnesota for a handful of years, Wiggins being more comfortable getting his own on the offensive end has allowed him to play spirited defense. And defense has been the top priority throughout all the Warriors' championship years. Defense and Andrew Wiggins? It's plays like these that allow Wiggins to play his best game. Since he isn't asked to carry a load on the offensive end, it allows Wiggins to play a more focused game defensively, which he can because of his length and athleticism. And once he forces opposing stars into a bad shot like how he does here with Tatum.
Stay in front of Tatum. Battling. Tatum falling away. Air ball.
The Warriors can get out in transition, and that is where Wiggins is best offensively. He's always relied more on his explosive bounce and athleticism. It's what fuels him and pushes that button inside of him. And that takes me full circle to where the Warriors currently stand today. Look, we get it. The Warriors have been, for some inexplicable reason, an absolute travesty when they're playing away from their home arena. In fact, this is the worst road record by a defending champion in over 2 decades. You can chalk it up to injuries, Steph's injuries, other key players being in and out of the lineup, and you can most certainly chalk it up to a constantly changing lineup. There's really no secret. The Warriors badly miss Andrew Wiggins, and the proof is in the pudding. The Warriors have struggled defensively all season, and a lot has to do with Wiggins playing in just 37 games all season. But he's someone that can take care of the opposing team's best offensive player and provides the Warriors a much-needed spark plug defensively, which leads to their explosive offense. Just go back to last postseason and last year's NBA Finals and tell me you didn't notice the superb job Wiggins did defensively on Jason Tatum and even Jaylen Brown. Tatum, averaging better than 30 points per game and among the MVP candidates, was held in last year's NBA Finals to just 21.5 points per game on 37% shooting overall from the floor. And that includes a series-high 23 turnovers. And his running mate Jaylen Brown wasn't much better, with 20 turnovers through 6 games and shooting just 43% from the floor. And yes, Andrew Wiggins is fully deserving of being credited with limiting both of those Celtics All-Stars and forcing them into a poor series. Fast forward to today, this is exactly what the Warriors need. With Wiggins out, Klay Thompson is often tasked with handling the best guy on the other side. And doing this has undoubtedly fatigued Klay and disrupted the dynamic offensive connection between Steph Curry and Klay Thompson bombing away on the three-pointers. And as far as Andrew Wiggins in that trade that happened 3 years ago, what he's meant for these Warriors, man, no amount of explaining or stats will do just in measuring his impact on the Warriors. It still shocks me how a guy barely into his mid-20s was dismissed as a waste of talent and someone who's no better than the average starter in the NBA. Look, I dare you. Go back through the internet forums, all the socials, old tweets, and whatnot, and see for yourselves what people were saying about Andrew Wiggins just a few short seasons ago. He has always been talented. He's just now getting the spotlight for the first time in his NBA career to show the world what he's made of. And Wiggins opened all our eyes during the past 2 years, particularly this past postseason where he looked like a fringe superstar in stretches. All I can say is, no one saw this man coming. Nobody thought Wiggins would become a star for the Warriors. And the Warriors pulled off a super underrated trade in 2020. And it helped them capture another title last season. I'm waiting. I really am anxious to see what happens moving forward. Just remember this. If Wiggins comes back in full force and is ready to play sometime soon, the Warriors might just show the world once again, they are a problem.